Aloha everyone, this is Lenora, Hawaii's Pickle Lady. Today I have a very special guest, Annika, and she's going to show us how to make the famous LECHON, well known in the Philippines, and anybody who tastes this loves it, and it's so delicious. So Annika, thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to be here. So, hi guys. What we have here is an 8-pound pork belly, and you have to make sure that you don't get the one that has bone in it. So this is what you want to look for in a pork belly. Not too much fat, as you can see. Like some meat, it really has a thick layer of.
I went to look for pork bellies, and I went to several stores, but most of them have pork bellies that are double the thickness and a lot of fat, but they were only like about 3 pounds. So I found this store at 168, and they had the short ones in the display case. So I had to ask them if they had the bigger ones. So sure enough, she went in the back, she lifted it up, and I said, okay, that's the one. So that's what I got.
So before we get started with putting the spices in the meat, you want to make sure to wash the meat first. And I'm gonna take it to the sink and I'm gonna wash it with lemon because I got that tip from my auntie to get rid of the funky smell from the meat or some blood that's still in the meat. So we already rinsed the meat, so right now after that we just have to pat dry it. Okay, so now that the meat is all clean, we need to score the meat. Like, it allows the ingredients to really soak in the meat. Make sure you don't really cut it so deep, so you won't cut the skin on the other side.
Well, why are you cutting this on a diagonal?
It doesn't really matter. It's just for presentation and for the spices to really absorb in the meat. All right, so after cutting the meat, now we have to put lemon. We do this because we want to tenderize the meat. You can massage it a little bit, take care of your meat, make sure the juice is evenly spread out.
And you only do this on the meat side, not the skin side.
Correct. Okay, so next step would be we have to put the pork base on the meat. We do that so that the pork will be more flavorful. So this is what we can use for now. It's the called pork flavored soup base. But normally I use the Knorr bouillon, pork bouillon.
So I went to several stores, of course, asking for the bouillon cubes, the pork ones. But the manager said that they've been out of this for several months. They can't get it. So the 3 stores I went to, pork bouillon cubes are so hard to come by. And you said even in California, somebody couldn't find it. So here we are.
So we can use this for now. We can use this teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, or is this tablespoon?
Yeah, probably. It's all right.
Yeah, so you just make sure to spread it evenly all throughout the meat. You also can dilute this one if you want to. Put a little bit of water just so that you can spread it easily than this one. But me personally, I just do this. I just want to make sure that they get all the flavor in there.
So when you use the bouillon cubes, do you have to dissolve it?
No.
It just breaks easily?
It's the same way with this one.
Oh, okay.
I think I am just patient in rubbing it this way. And I just think that, with doing this, you get all the flavor in there. And you can spread it on the sides as well.
In a way, this kind of reminds me of making Chinese roast pork, where they use the belly too. And again, nothing is on the skin. but all the flavor is on the pork.
All right, so after you have spread the pork base in there, we can add the salt. So this is just regular plain salt, and then you just kind of make sure it won't be too salty. All right, so the next step, garlic powder.
And what I've done is I put plastic all around so it won't contaminate anything. Kind of generous amount, yeah?
Yeah.
And can you use fresh garlic instead? Or you do
But
both?
I do both. Okay, so that should be enough. And then after the garlic powder, we can put black pepper, ground or peppercorn, where we can crush it some. So,
Smells good already.
yeah. All right. Now we can put garlic on it. So since we have an 8-pound pork belly here, so the more garlic, the better. Just put it in the middle. All right, so the next step after we put the garlic is we can put the bay leaves. So you just kind of spread it out, like most of them in the middle. You can just use 4. Okay, then after that, we can put the star anise. You have to be careful though in using star anise because it's really powerful. It has a strong flavor. So with 8-pound pork belly, only use 3 full star anise, not more than that. All right, so next step would be the green onions and then the lemongrass. I will do the green onions first. So you just cut the tip here and just throw it in the pan. Show you why after. So now that we have this one, this doesn't have the tip, so we can put it here on the meat. Kind of just spread them. You can put more if you want to. And then next is the lemongrass. We just cut the tip. Put it there. Lemongrass will really, it is the most important spice to put in there.
Why are you putting the tips in the pan?
Because I'm gonna put water later with it, and then once the meat is on top, right, we put it in the oven, and then once it steams, like the smell and just the flavor will add, you will add more flavor to the meat.
Good.
So it's optional. Yeah, so pound. So we have to pound it so that, the juice will come out. So for this one, you just need to pound it a little bit. Just enough, to have the juice come out.
So this one, we just pound it a little bit. Release all the juices. Now normally, I only had 3 stalks. So normally, how many do you put?
I put 5 to 7.
Oh, okay.
It depends on how big the meat is. You can put one in the here, and then one in the middle. Okay, and then the last one here. Now we have to do the exciting part, which is we have to roll the belly.
Okay. You don't need
And
this
I need
anymore.
your help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need that anymore.
Okay, let me move
Thank
this.
you. So you have to figure out which way to roll it because sometimes the meat doesn't look like this. This is what you want to look for. It's perfect. It's like flat. There's not much fat because sometimes some areas are thick here or thick on this side. So yeah, you want to make sure that you get this perfect looking meat. So with this meat, it's easy. We already know that we can roll it this way. So sometimes you can roll it that way. So, and with rolling the belly also, you need an extra hand, right? To make sure you can tie it tight. Okay, one thing I should mention also, if you decide that, it's best to roll it this way, of course you have to adjust the spices as well. All right, so when we roll the belly, we have to make sure that it's not overlapping it, because if you do that, you know, it won't be cooked inside like this area right here. So see, when you roll it, there's a lot of space left there. So we need to put more
Okay.
spices in there. All right, so now that we added more green onions and lemongrass, now this is how it should look like. So now we can roll it. So I need an extra hand here because it'll be hard for us to attach them each end. Okay, then we would need the twine. You can turn it like this. There you go. We can start at the tip and then lift it up a little bit. So that's why you need an extra hand, because look what I'm doing. I'm using my index finger there to push it down. Okay, there you go. There's different ways of tying it too. Some they kind of like cross it, or some even use needles.
Oh, yeah.
Like they kind of sew it, you know. But you know, we're making easy way, simple way. This one works as long as it holds the belly together and keep the spices in there. We can tap it, bottom part, and then we can turn it over. This one right here goes under. So keep that, go, then pat dry it. Tender loving care. Then now we need to brush it with soy sauce. We use soy sauce so that the skin will be crispy. Also for it so that the skin will have some flavor. Alright, so we're in the final step is we need to poke the skin. So use a sharp knife to make sure it will go in there, okay? And then we do that so that the skin will be more crispy, and that also to release the fat from the meat. And be careful. So just sides, to top and the other side.
And the skin is pretty tough, so if you
Yeah.
have a dull
Maybe a
knife,
little more.
it won't work.
It's kinda hard,
We
so.
tried an ice pick, it didn't work.
You don't have to like. Okay, so now we're ready to put it in the oven. And also before we do that, it's very important that we cover it with foil for the first 2 hours, because if we don't do that, the skin will really cook fast and then it will turn dark. And then, you know, we use this one, we need to transfer the meat over here. And you need to make sure also that you have bigger pan underneath so that when it drips, it really would catch the fluid dripping from there. There you go. So it's 300 degrees for the first 2 hours.
Okay.
Don't forget to add water on the tray, just so it won't be dry. You need to uncover the belly. You need to take out the foil. Crank it up to 400 degrees and then go for another hour. Also, I noticed that the water is getting low, so you need to add more water so that it won't be dry. Okay, so it's been 3.5 hours since the belly is in the oven. So now it's time for us to check the temperature inside, if it's cooked, and check if the skin is crispy. But first things first, you need to make sure that your temperature is set to 165. Okay, there you go. You can tell it's really hot inside. This side. Alright, so last side. Now we have to check the skin, make sure it's crispy. You can just use fork. So that sounds good. So this part right here is not that crispy yet. So some here too. So we can put it back in the oven for 5 to 10 more minutes, just for it to be crispy all sides. All right, so now that the pork belly is cooked, came out from the oven for about 4 hours total, and we just let it cool down for another 10 minutes before we can cut it. But before that, this is totally optional. You can brush it with olive oil to just make it look shiny, you know, for presentation. but totally optional.
Looks good.
Yeah. Smells good too.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's it.
Relatively simple, but
Yeah.
takes time and patience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Move this one here. And make sure you have a good knife like this to cut it. It's still hot. I'm not a good chopper. So from cutting it, you can really smell the garlic,
Yeah,
the
it smells
lemongrass. Smells really good.
Yes.
You know, then the green onion in there. So that brings a lot of flavor to the meat.
Now, for the best part, the tasting. It smells so good. I can hardly wait to dig into it. And who do we have here but the official taste tester? He always seems to appear at the right time. So now we're going to taste this delicious dish. Very tender.
What do you think?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Hear the crunch?
The skin is crispy.
Everybody's munching on crispy skin.
It's really crispy. Oh,
Then you can add sauce too. It really depends on you if you want vinegar or this Mang Tomas sauce. You can get it from a Filipino store. Or you can make your own, like soy sauce with vinegar. And also this one, Sinalupak, it's from a Filipino store as well.
what are the differences between the sauces?
Well, you can try a little bit. This one is more sour.
So it's kind of
salty,
sweet.
and
You want to try it?
Yeah. Thank you.
a lot of chili pepper in it, but not very hot.
Yeah, both are spicy but kind of sweet also.
Can I try that one?
I like that one.
You like this one?
Mm-hmm.
Is
This
it
one's
spicy?
really spicy.
Spicy?
It's just been sitting for a while.
Okay, let's try.
Cool.
Really, really good. Now we need some rice and vegetable
Yep.
and everything else.
Both are good
Yeah,
for me. Success.
very good. Thank you very much
You're
for coming.
welcome. It's an honor, you know. Had a great time, fun experience for me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So, what do you think?
Oh, it's delicious. I couldn't wait. I finished my whole plate. 10 out of 10. Really good.
Great. How about you, Austin?
I liked it. I would give it a 10 out of 10. I would recommend it to everybody or anybody I know.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
Hello. Very good. And thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Annika makes this for parties and special occasions. So if you want to, you can contact her. There's a link below.